In this video, I'm gonna go through every single thing you need to know when it comes to managing members within your Shade workspace. Now this applies for internal members, external members, and even just file level access in regards to sharing folders or files, and even collections with people you're working with. So let's get into it. Now, first things first, what you need to know is that in a workspace, you have 5 different roles that you can assign the members of your workspace. Now, the first is an owner, and basically an owner, it just is full permission across the workspace. This person is going to be able to manage members, they're going to be able to create drives, and importantly, the owner can manage billing, which obviously is really important for a lot of us. The next member is the admin. Now, an admin has all the same permissions as an owner. They can manage members, create and manage drives, but they can't manage billing. So this is kind of a lead editor role, someone who's kind of managing a team of editors. You're going to want to give them the admin role so they can create new drives as needed, but they're just not responsible for taking care of the billing. Next, we just have a member. This is for those full-time editors on your staff, people who may need to create drives, but don't really have a need to manage members or billing for that matter. But they can still create drives and edit them as needed. But the contributor is someone who maybe is not full-time. They can edit and share items, but they're not able to create drives. So maybe it's not even an editor. Maybe a contributor is someone else on your team who is in a totally different department, but needs to be able to share out assets to a client, right? And lastly, and a relatively new addition, is the contractor. Now, I'm actually really excited about the contractor role because this is something that so many of our clients have been asking for, and we finally brought it to you. The engineering team is absolutely crushing it in this area. And basically, what you need to know about the contractor role is, for all the other roles, they have inherited access to your entire workspace. But for the contractor role, you're gonna have to manually add each file, folder, or drive to the access of that contractor. So this is perfect for a situation where you have a remote editor that you're contracting out and you just want them to work on this one project for this one client. But you don't need them to have access to the entire drive with that client's projects in it, or even other folders within that drive. So you just give them access to the drive and to the folder. The big thing between a contractor and like a folder level access or sharing is that the contractor can actually mount the drive. So you're still paying for their seat in your workspace, and they're able to mount the drive that they have access to. But when they mount that drive, the only thing that shows up in that drive is exactly what they have actually been given access to, the folder, for instance. One last note on contractors, we actually have a little contractor section here. So when a contractor is added to your workspace, you'll be able to see their names here. Up here at the top of your workspace members, that's within your settings, we actually have a drive inheritance thing. Now, changing this will only affect new drives that you make. And if you're at the beginning of creating your Shade workspace, then you'll affect all the drives that you make. But what you're able to do is change the inherited access that any new member has, aside from the contractor. So if you want every person that comes into your workspace, regardless of their role, all of this is excluding the contractor. But for contributors, members, admins, or an owner, if you want them all to have full access, then you can do that. But if you simply just want to create a bunch of drives and anyone who comes into the workspace internally just has common access, then you can totally do that. And here you can see you can actually retroactively update existing drives as well. But that actually brings us to groups, because when we're talking about internal members in your Shade workspace, then groups can be a huge part of that. Groups are really just an extension of the main roles, but you're able to actually add members that are already in your workspace into groups, and then those groups can have all the same permissions, for instance. Another important note for our enterprise clients is that groups can be provisioned through your external auth provider via SCIM provisioning. So that's going to be super helpful. But the point is, groups is just a better way to organize different areas of your members. So let's say you have a marketing team and they need a certain amount of access or a certain level of access, but then you have AEs and they need a different level of access. So that will help you organize them better there. Next, we have guests, and guests are super simple to understand. Anytime you're sharing files or folders out at the folder or file level access where you're creating a link, that person's email is going to show up as a guest. So let's say, for instance, we want to come in here, we want to share this. We're going to share it, and then we're going to invite collaborators, and we're just going to give them access via this. They're going to now show up as a guest on our workspace. Now, they will need a Shade account, so that's important to note, but they don't actually have to be on your Shade plan. They're just going to show up as a guest. And you'll give them access here, and then their actual names will all end up in the Guest tab within your Workspace members setting. But that actually brings us to file level access, because in this same place where you would invite collaborators, you also can share a folder or a file with a couple of different default options. Whether it's an editor, a reviewer, or a client, the permissions are different. And when you hit enable, then it's just going to enable that link. You can see it's already been copied to the clipboard, but I might also want to just copy it again. I always do that just to be safe. And then I can paste that somewhere else, or I can even email the link, embed the link, which is new and very cool. But if these kind of default options don't really work for you, then you can create a custom link. And the custom link is really cool. You can change the link name. Once you hit create link, then the link will be generated here for you to copy. You can customize exactly what you want them to have access to. The possibilities are endless with this custom link situation here. I actually really like this interface. I've used a lot of the other options out there, and this feels it gives you the most control, which I really appreciate. Also, for those who are security conscious, we do have the option to give a link expiration, which you can add, or even a password. So both of those are going to help keep your data secure regardless of who you're sharing it to. And if eventually you've shared a folder out and you don't want anyone to have access to it anymore, then you can simply disable the link, which will make the link stop working immediately, but it can also be restored at any time. So if you change your mind, you can re-enable that link. One last thing in regards to sharing is collections. And collections are something that is similar to file or folder level access, but it actually creates a unique landing page that's customizable through the background, the logo, and the title here. And basically through all of those elements, you can kind of customize your landing page for your client to view. Files added to a collection are independent of the existing folder structure you have within your workspace. So that's important to note too. And lastly, you're going to be able to enable certain things here. And now with collections, we also have link expiration and password protection as well. So you get all of the same security features within collections that you do at the folder or file level. But yeah, this is just a cleaner, more elegant way to share deliverables with your clients, and they can still click in here and add, access all the details, even add comments if needed. So that was a lot of information, and I totally get it. It's a lot to keep up with. So let's go through a little bit of a recap and hit some reminders just to make sure we're all on the same page. When it comes to workspace roles, owners have full access. They can change anything from creating and managing drives, managing members, and even managing billing. When it comes to admin, they have all the same access as an owner, but they can't manage billing. When it comes to members, they simply can just create and edit drives, and they can also share content as well, but they're not going to be able to manage members or billing. Contributors can only edit or share content. They're not going to be able to create drives. And lastly, contractors, and this is the one that has the most nuance. This is for your external members of your team, and they have no inherited access. So any file, folder, or drive that they have access to, you will have to manually enable, which can be super helpful if you're just working with someone externally. Groups are basically used to categorize existing members of your team, and this is helpful for, different sets of permissions. Like a group of AEs needs one set of permissions, where your editing team is obviously going to need a different set of permissions. And those groups can be provisioned through your external auth provider via SCIM provisioning. So you're covered there. Guests are external users that you invite to collaborate on a folder or file, and they need to have an existing Shade membership, but you're not going to be responsible for paying for their seat on your workspace. Another important note about guests is that they're not actually able to mount drives. So that's just something to keep in mind. And lastly, at the file level access, you're able to share files or folders to external people. You can invite them as a collaborator, which then they will show up as a guest, or you can just simply send them a link through 3 of the different default link options we have, or you can create a custom link and decide exactly what permissions you want them to have, as well as add a password or a link expiration, and even disable the link retroactively. And you thought I forgot, but collections are also a way to share out files in a more elegant custom landing page type way. It's something that you might want to use to share deliverables with clients, and you get most of the same share options within the folder level access sharing, as well as the same security features, but it's just simply a more customizable, elegant experience for the end user. But the important thing of all of this is that Shade is here to come alongside you and genuinely improve your creative workflow. Whether that means giving more access to members of your team around the world, or just simply searching or sharing your content, we're here to improve your post-production workflow. So as always, thanks for watching and thanks for using Shade.